Summer is the second busiest season at the allotment for me. The first is spring, where the groundwork of sowing, transplanting, mulching and preparing are all key to the success in the warmer months. My allotment is in South Wales, plot number 7 of about 30 other plots and set near a railway station and also a motorway. It's considered a half plot, so it's 12 metres long, 7.5 metres wide, and I've been its guardian since December 2020. We've had a few hot days here in the past 2 weeks, interspersed with a lot of rain, and I always think of this time of year as the blink and you'll miss it time, where a whole courgette can appear from nowhere or flowers can burst into bloom. I don't often have a full day to spend at the allotment. Usually I have an evening after work or a Sunday morning, but today I've dedicated the whole day, and I wanted to bring you with me and show what it's like to maintain this space in summer, whether that's the mundane tasks like weeding or strimming, or the best part, the harvest, which makes all of it worth it.
So one of the main things that probably you don't see on camera so much is the amount of weeding that I have to do at the allotment to keep it looking fairly neat. I'm kind of cautious that the idea of eradicating all weeds from the garden is a bit problematic because not all plants are weeds, or rather things that we call weeds aren't necessarily weeds. It's just things that we don't necessarily want in the garden but could actually benefit. In my case, the couch grass that grows everywhere on the allotment is certainly something that the garden or the allotment does not benefit from, unfortunately. There's a lot of fields around here where it just blows straight off and lands in my raised beds, which is kind of it's a bit of an uphill battle. It's one of the main reasons I took up all the wood chip that was on the paths, with the help of my partner, of course, and we decided to put grass seed down because all you could see all the time was the couch grass growing up through the wood chip, and you just didn't get that neat look. And I never wanted to put down any kind of membrane to stop things growing through, so that was just one thing I had to accept. And that most Sundays and most times that I come to the allotment, the majority of the time that I'm here is spent weeding, which kind of goes against the no-dig principles. The idea is that you should spend less time weeding, and I'm sure that I do in comparison to someone who is tilling all of their raised beds, or rather tilling the ground. So I think I've probably saved some time there, but because I haven't put something like black plastic down on all of the raised beds, which would potentially eradicate all weeds if I left it on there for over a year, I just have to accept that I'm going to always be having couch grass growing through. I try to get things before they go to seed to stop the spread of it so much, but it's quite difficult. I think that I'd really miss out on the opportunity to grow so much because I can still grow so much when I'm here, even with the couch grass that grows through. So it's a symbiotic relationship. It's not one I'm particularly happy about, but that is one of the key tasks at the allotment. Another thing that I need to do today is probably pull up a lot of this borage. It's self-seeded and it self-seeds everywhere. I grew it for the first time the year I got the pot, I think, because I knew it was good for the bees. They're still on the flowers now, but the ones that are dying back and aren't flowering anymore, really need to pull them up. I kind of want to control a bit of the borage situation. It happens on the plot each year, and I know it does so much good for the bees, but it also crowds a lot of the other plants that I want to give a chance to grow. So now that it's finished, I'm going to pull it up so that hopefully it doesn't scatter seeds everywhere, and it will hopefully also give a bit more space for all of the pumpkins that are growing in these beds. They're kind of growing out the beds and onto the paths, which I don't mind, but I'd rather they were covering the soil and keeping that a bit cooler. And also it just makes it easier for walking around the plot so that I don't accidentally step on one of the stems or strim them by accident. The borage is quite spiky. It feels almost a bit like nettle, but doesn't leave the same sting. So generally I'd wear gloves, but I can't really be bothered. I'm not a gloved gardener, but I do make sure that I wash my hands really well and scrub my nails every time I'm done at the allotment. So yeah, let's pull up some of this borage. The greenhouse is very busy at the moment. As you can see, I'm in a bit of a jungle. It's quite difficult to get in here. I end up trampling on some of the tomato leaves where the plants have just bowed over onto the paths. I haven't staked things particularly well in here. Next year, one of the things that I'd really like to do is put the spare window that came with this greenhouse into the roof. It's worked really well actually, having some of this delicata squash plant going out of the window and down the side of the greenhouse. So hopefully if I have a second window I can make a bit more use of the space and it won't get as crowded in here. I know the greenhouse is probably meant to be a bit tidier than this, and you should really cut things back to allow as much airflow as possible, but I'm making the best use of space that I can, and things seem to be doing pretty well, so I guess I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and in the future maybe I'll get a bigger greenhouse, but for now this works just fine.